because, like Tony said, I think we all find interesting some of the stuff that you're able to do there, particularly with the high school kids you get. And maybe talk about how, because I know you have at least from chatting with you online, I know you have a pretty special relationship with your quarterbacks as they come through. Maybe talk about how you prepare and integrate a young guy, or a younger guy or maybe a kid that hasn't played varsity football, but, he's been on the lower levels for you. Maybe talk about how you integrate them in, and, you already talked a little bit about helping them, take some pressure off, but just maybe how you, for guys listening, maybe how you incorporate those guys kind of into your system.
Well, the first thing I tell them is the reason I put them in a quarterback position is because I feel like they have the it factor. We all talk about the it factor. Those rare combination of qualities, you can't always put your finger on exactly what qualities are, but when a guy should be your quarterback, or at least work at that position. Yeah. He has and to me, the biggest thing, I need a tough, decisive decision maker who has character, with enough physical ability to be effective at the position. That's kind of how I define quarterback from a physical aspect. Now, he's got to be willing. I tell him there's probably anywhere from a half a dozen to 8 or 9 things that he's going to have to do before the ball is ever snapped. And if he doesn't do those things well, our chances of being successful are going to struggle. So he's got to be a responsible kid that doesn't mind being accountable, and really who embraces those things. I don't mind having to learn the signals. I don't mind having to make checks at the line of scrimmage. I don't mind having to check the formation to make sure we're right. Doing lookovers, learning that no huddle vernacular at the line of scrimmage. All those things fall on his plate. And I tell him, if you're not willing to do those things, then maybe I have chosen the wrong guy. So I'm honest with them. I make them understand the value of their position along with the responsibility of it. But as far as develop them, it's a day-by-day process. I will text them things I see that one of you guys might post on Twitter. I'll send them things. I'll send them links to things to say, hey, check this out. How you feel about this? Or think about what Tom Brady was thinking about in this situation. Even a pro quarterback. And I try to just get them thinking about, the pressure around that position, but like they're kind of functioning in the eye of the hurricane. A lot of stuff is swirling around them, but they got to be cool right there in the middle of it. But we have a teaching progression like anybody. The mental progression is I talk to them about our terminology, our offensive philosophy. I teach them fronts, stunts, secondary looks, because I tell them the number one thing, once the foundation is laid, is that I want you to be one of our quarterbacks, is we got to talk the same language. Right. We got to talk the same language. When I talk about a 2-tech or 1-tech, it can't be a vague concept. You got to have a mental image, exactly what I'm saying, on 1 high, 2 high, no high, press, off, blitz and backer between an off backer, a read defender as compared to a stunt defender. And we got to get on the same page. And then just over time, just grinding into our plays, our decision-making, pre-snap and post-snap, and just getting on the same page using film. Our past quarterbacks are really our best teaching tool on good and bad. I went over some film today with a young quarterback. We went through a 2-minute our last couple of years. We have a couple of 2-minute possessions that's been really good to teach from. And I went through that with him and talked to him about what our thoughts are, when we would take a clock play, when we would want to run a play at the line, the clock stopping after a first down, and things like that. So this really, man, football, diving. I love spending time with our quarterbacks and just talking football with them. And I might have a menu of what I want to cover, but when that meeting starts, we end up just talking football and covering a lot of ground. And I love to get feedback from them as well.
Coach, I knew you did all that, and that's why I wanted you to bring it up, because I think that's a big part of this offense is, developing that trust between you and that quarterback. And, when, I know you talked about no huddle too, but like back when we all huddled, bringing those guys over and talking to them and, hey, what do you see, and those kind of things. and just spending that time in the off season, just sort of solidifies that bond, and the trust, and they trust you, and they understand what you're saying, and you trust them, and he comes off and tells you something. Well, that's what you believe, because he said it.
Mm-hmm.
You thought you, just like you said, that they're operating in the eye of the hurricane, and you gave them the keys to the car, so you want
That's right.
you don't want them to crash. You want them to drive right through that thing. So that's I'm glad you brought that up. That's a good point.
Man, that's great stuff, man. I coach from the press box, so now I can see the picture above. Plus, I got that instant replay from the end zone shot now.
Yeah, that instant replay stuff's amazing, isn't it? I mean, good Lord.
It is, man. I don't get to talk to my quarterback as much as I wish I could. You know what I mean? But man, that's valuable. With what the stuff that you're talking about with your quarterback now, and putting all that in. That's going to pay dividends big time, man.
I agree. Probably like you guys, I don't always feel like I have enough time with them. I always wish I had more. And I'm the first one to tell them. I say, look, guys, I'm going to want to meet. As tired as you might get hear my voice, I'm going to want to meet with you 10 times more than we actually get to. And I tell them there's going to be a lot of times when there's the whole offense is in here, or maybe the quarterbacks and the running backs, the receivers. And I tell them, if I get off track and I start talking to a wide receiver position or the running back position, that they still have to be the most focused guy in the room and understand their role. And that I really want to isolate them when I meet with them one-on-one. But sometimes when we incorporate the linemen and all those guys, I say, look, if I start talking to just you, I'm going to lose the rest of the team. Yeah. So you still got to stay focused, and it helps you to hear what I'm saying to them. You may not always quite understand it, but they need to see that you're attentive and not just kind of looking off into the stars. Because whether they ever say it to you or not, the linemen and the backs and receivers want to see the quarterback in a different light than everybody else. It may not be a fair judgment, but it is what it is. And in football, that's a special position, and you need to always be at the top of your game when you're around your teammates. You may not be perfect, but you need to be the most attentive, hardest working guy, and they need to see that every time. And if I jump your tail, then you need to take it like a man and continue on. You don't need to try to make excuses. So I do hold them to a high standard, but I would always love to meet with them 10 times more than I get to.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
I'll have those quarterbacks sit in the O-line meeting sometime. They're like, oh, that's what that means? yeah.
Right. I love that.
Word. Oh, that's what that means? I always wondered. That's good stuff.
Coach, I'm going to tell you, if I tie anybody on the football team, it's the offensive linemen. I love those guys now. I'll get defensive guys saying, man, Coach Dieter, all he does is talk good about the linemen, man. They can't do nothing wrong. I said, you're darn right. You're darn right.
Yeah. Well, those are the guys. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care. I mean, don't get me wrong, because I like coaching quarterbacks and that, but it doesn't never go right unless those guys are with it. If they're not on it, you can forget it. It don't matter what you call and what you do. If those linemen aren't getting it done, you can forget it, man. You can forget it. So
no doubt.